Welcome everyone to my how-to video on completing assignment 7009, part C. Okay, so we're starting off in our course Moodle, and if we scroll down, you want to click on week 6, and this is where you will find the submission deadline for 7009 part D. This is the last deadline for assignment 7009, your SWOT report. Okay, so if I want to learn more about what I'm doing for this assignment, you can click on any of these links here in the overview of the week labeled 7009. Any of them will open up the course wiki assignment prompt for 7009. So here we have the email from Alex Nostrovia, our pretend boss in the scenario, assigning us to do the SWOT report for Mrs. DiMaggio. And then underneath that, you'll find the 4 parts of this assignment, parts A, B, C, and D, which are all separate deadlines. And this particular video is going to be focusing on part D, the last part. So if you want to learn more about this assignment overall, you can see my video on the overview, or you can see my individual videos on each other part of the assignment. Okay, so at this point in your work, you should have received peer advice on revising your SWOT report from 2 classmates, and you are ready to revise your SWOT report. So at this point, for assignment 7009 Part D, you should revise your SWOT report, make it as visually appealing as possible, make it complete, make the overall structure clear, so making sure that the opening or the intro section is doing what it needs to do, that you have at least 2 points in each of the middle sections, so at least 2 points for strengths, at least 2 points for weaknesses, and at least 2 points for opportunities, and at least 2 points for threats, and that you have a concluding section that gives a recommendation and explains how individual points from the middle support that recommendation. Make sure that you have sufficient evidence to prove your claims that these things are strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And make sure that your style is flawless. So once you are done revising your SWOT report, you need to put your final touches on it. So you'll be submitting this to Moodle only. So you will go over here to week 6 and click on this link here to submit the last part. And there will be 3 documents in this Word document, a title page, the revised SWOT report, and a cover letter. And I know this may be a little confusing, but I'd like for you to submit them in a different order. First, you should have your title page, then you should have your cover letter, because that's what a cover letter does. It's a letter that covers another document. So the cover letter should come before your report. Okay, so that's the order of the documents I'd like you to use when you submit this to Moodle. So the first page of your Microsoft Word file will be the title page. The second page of your file will be your cover letter, and then the third page will begin your report. Okay? All right. So I want to learn more about the cover letter. The peer review, revising should be fairly straightforward once you have advice, but the rest of this video is going to focus on creating this cover letter. And so basically what this is you might think of it how we use email today, where if you have a bunch of attachments to your email should introduce those texts, their context, and kind of make a good impression. So think of the cover letter as you having a conversation, shaking hands with your recipient, talking up your report, and kind of piquing their interest in reading the report. So if you click on this link here, it will open another page in our wiki, and it kind of explains typical parts for the cover letter, and it shows you an example. So if you open this example up, this is basically what your cover letter should look like, except that the recipient address block here, so this is the recipient's address block. This is not our recipient. So you would be sending this to somebody else. You should change the date to whatever your current date is. This should be your name. And so there are just some minor changes, but in general, this is what a generic business letter will look like for you. So to get us started on this, I have created an outline and template based off of the outline in this. So if we, basically I took the content in here and adjusted it to our particular assignment. I've placed it as a Word document in our course Moodle right underneath the submission deadline. So if you click this Word document link here labeled 7009D cover letter template, this is what will pop up. Okay, so basically it's exactly what it sounds like. So this cover letter and the SWOT report are all supposed to be sent to Mrs. DiMaggio, the person who Alex Nostrovia tells us ordered this SWOT report. Okay, so this is her. This is where Alex is explaining who ordered this. And to write a business letter accurately, self-assessment tells me I need to know, okay, what her address is. You're also going to need the letterhead, and you can find that here by clicking the word this to find the MCG letterhead if you don't have that saved already. Okay, so this is basically the template, so make sure you have your letterhead up here inserted as an image. You should have today's date. This style is appropriate, so is this. Okay, you never want to put TH if it's followed by another part of the date. TH is only appropriate if nothing else follows it, but you wouldn't do that here, right? That would be inappropriate. So, and same thing with up here. You wouldn't write TH there because June follows it. So we would just make it look like that. So either of those styles is fine. Okay, and then this is our recipient's address block. We don't know her first name. It's possible it's a famous Mrs. DiMaggio, but we don't know. So I'm just going to call her Mrs. DiMaggio for now. And this is the address that we pull from the assignment page right here. So it says Mrs. DiMaggio's address is this. And so I've just copied and pasted that into my template. Okay, skipped a line, and here's my salutation. It begins with dear, so I've put a comma, and here is your outline. So first, every letter and every email should begin its very first sentence with introducing your reason for writing, okay? And so the first sentence or two can include things like what the accompanying text is, so mentioning the SWOT report, and why it's being sent to her. And this might seem redundant or silly, but sometimes our recipients are receiving a lot of letters, and so just giving them this basic context at the beginning can be very helpful. And that's basically your opening paragraph. If you wanted, you could also include a thesis introducing the overall point of your SWOT report, which is basically your recommendation. So you can go ahead and introduce your recommendation now, but you don't have to. It's not a requirement. In the middle, so in the body of your letter, you should describe contextual information. So basically, what was the work that went into this project? So this, you should give a brief timeline revealing the steps of your process. This should be easy since 7009 Part A required you to write something like this and to schedule deliverables. So just give a chronological narrative description of what you did in each step. Include how many hours it took you to do this. This could be weekly, daily, as well as overall. Okay. And then you might mention some major sources you relied on, especially if they're really impressive or reliable. Okay, don't mention Wikipedia. You shouldn't be using Wikipedia at all. And so that's basically the middle. And then when we get to our closing paragraph, okay, so this is our opening, this is our middle, and this is our closing. Okay. So this is our closing paragraph here. So you might want to draw attention to particular issues or points you want to emphasize. So it might be things that you found were shockingly troublesome, or problematic, or a huge going concern for the business. You might mention that here. You might mention again, like the great benefits of following through on this recommendation, right? So you can link that here. And then propose a first step, okay? So if you want, this is our call to action. So remember that in emails and letters, right? Typically we want a call to action, asking our reader to do something we want them to do. So you have a recommendation here based off of the conclusion of your SWOT report, and in your concluding paragraph of this cover letter, you want to propose a first step. So instead of just saying, contact me with more questions, you would say, contact me to begin collaborating on whatever our first step is, okay? And try to be specific. Don't just say first step, but you come up with that, be creative. And then give your contact information. And again, you can make this up. It doesn't matter to me. And that's your last paragraph. You should have your sign off, so respectfully or sincerely, your full name here, so your full name, and then the company that you work for, so MCG spelled out, so Mega Consulting Group. And notice that you're also required to have an enclosure notation. So if you look down here at the bottom, this is one style of an enclosure notation. So ENCL, period, SWOT report on, and then you should put the local business that you selected, put their name in there. The alternative would just be to say enclosure, period. And not period, but enclosure, and that's it. Personally, I like the other way better because it tells the reader exactly what is enclosed, and so if the cover letter gets separated from the SWOT report, then they know what to look for. So it just gives them more information. Okay, so this basically covers the cover letter structure. One thing I want to mention, it looks like my spacing is a little wide, and so I'm just going to check on that by clicking this button up here, and it is. It's a little bigger than one, and so I'm going to change that to single spacing completely. And that will save some space here and allow you to write more information. So always check that and make sure that your spacing is always single spacing and not 1.15 or 1.5 or 2. That's just way too big. So this is appropriate, and then you can put in returns between kinds of information. Okay, so once you're done with that, you are basically ready to upload. So you would have before this page a title page, then comes your cover letter, and the next after this page would be your SWOT report, revised, perfect, beautiful, well researched, well written. And then you save it as one file, and you come over here to Moodle and you upload it here. Okay, make sure you submit it all the way so that it doesn't count as late. All right, I hope this video was useful. If you have any questions, you can always bring those to our virtual classroom or email me. Good luck.